It's about Halloween time, so let's cover Gengar in Pokemon Unite. Straight out the gate, let me show you a trick. If you do this, and then you do this, you can go ahead and come on over here and then hop right over the ledge to get to the Lillipup. That's because on Gengar's boosted attack, it causes Gengar to teleport. And now let's take a look at the first two skills that Gengar gets, which are Will-O-Wisp and Lick, and they're both really interesting. So what Lick does here, I really like Lick, is you have this big old tongue where you can be like, hello, or if somebody tries to run away, you're like, no sir, and you do damage when you do so. Something else that is cool about Lick is that it will interrupt actions. So take a shot at me here and you go, bleh, and that makes it so he doesn't spit at you, which is really nice when you're dealing with Ludicolo or Bouffalant over here. And again, if Bouffalant tries to charge me, we can stop him by hitting him with Lick. I'm also fairly certain that you can lick through walls, and something you might have noticed there is that my boosted attack got charged up, so I could jump right through here and attack him after that. So pretty neat. Hey, somebody followed on Twitch. Thank you very much. You never know if you follow. You could show up when I'm recording. And then finally with Lick, there's one thing that's going on with it that I don't know that a whole lot of people know the answer to. And if you take a peek here, there's an animation on the Pokemon that you licked. You see those streaks coming down around it? No idea what that means. It's not in the description. It's not on Unite DB. But I'm sure somebody out there knows, but it happens to every single Pokemon, and it doesn't seem to affect their move speed or their defense or really anything that I'm aware of. So with Will-O-Wisp, you shoot out 3 little flames. Boop, boop, boop. Now, according to Unite DB, only 2 of these flames can do damage to whoever you hit. So if you look real closely, you might only see 2 damage numbers that pop up, which sure enough, that's what we saw. Other cool things to know about Will-O-Wisp is that it causes a damage reduction because it causes a burn. So if dude hits me here, he's going to hit me for 124. Well, if I burn them, now they're only doing 112. So there is a case of damage reduction there when you are burning them with Will-O-Wisp. One other thing to know about Will-O-Wisp is if the target is already burned, the amount of damage you do to that target is going to be cut in half. So what you'll see here is you'll see some 128s hit on this Audino. Well, if I do it again, you'll see those are 64s. You got to pay real close attention. 128 goes down to 64. And that's because the Audino is already burning. So that's kind of sad news for Will-O-Wisp. I don't know why they would put that in there like that. And then for funsies, let's go ahead and crank these things up to level 15 to see how much damage these skills do. So this Will-O-Wisp skill can do 1461 damage, but then it sits there and does some burning. And then if you go ahead and you take a look at Lick, you can go ahead and do 993 damage. Now, what's interesting about these skills is they actually benefit a lot from, and actually Gengar skills in general benefit a lot from special attack. And we'll talk a lot more about that later in the video. Now let's move on to the other skills that Gengar can learn, and it's actually important to know when we learn those skills because Gengar is a speedster and they are typically a jungler. So at level 5, there's a couple of things that happen, one of which is you learn your first skill. And we're going to pick Sludge Bomb here just to show that off, but another thing that happens is that Gengar becomes able to life leech by using their spells. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So now that I took some damage, let me showcase how this works. And again, 1/8 of the damage that we deal with our spells, or 12.5%, is going to be healed back to Gengar. So if we cast a spell, aka Sludge Bomb, what you'll see is we're going to start healing. You see how we're doing ticks of damage that are 999 and that we're healing for 124? So what you're seeing there is that we are healing for 1/8 of the damage that we are dealing. And this will work on all of Gengar's spells that cause damage, but not until level 5. Ghastly does not get any of that. It starts with Haunter, and then it sticks in for the rest of the game. But now after we get our spell vamp at level 5 and our first skill, another really important part about Gengar is they get their second skill at level 7, which is huge because usually if you go through one rotation of the jungle in the early game, you reach level 5. If you go through a second rotation of the jungle, you're going to be level 7. And that level 7 means that you're going to get a big power boost since we earn our next skill at level 7. And then finally, we get our Unite move at level 9 when we turn into Gengar. But now let's talk about the 2 skills that we learned. We learned Sludge Bomb and Hex. And if any of you have been playing Pokemon Unite from day 1, you remember Hex Gengar very well. Hex Gengar used to be a monster, and then they nerfed it, and then they weren't so much of a monster anymore. So the way this all works is let's start with Sludge Bomb, and then we'll move on to Hex. So with Sludge Bomb here, you throw a Sludge Bomb, bleh, and everything within that area of effect is going to take a splash of damage, and then they're also going to be inflicted with a status effect, which is poison. And that poison deals 1% of the target's max HP per tick, which is why when you hit a substitute doll, it does a lot of damage because it's going tick, 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 tick. And since the substitute doll has so much health, you're doing a lot of damage per tick. Whereas if you go ahead and you hit this Apom here, what you'll notice is I'm only doing 9 damage per tick because they do not have anywhere near as much health as a substitute doll has. So if you're sitting here in practice mode going, oh my god, 1,000 damage per tick, don't get excited. It looks cooler than it is. And then the difference between Sludge Bomb and Sludge Bomb Plus is that it just lasts for another second, I believe. But now here's where Sludge Bomb gets really, really interesting, and instead it has a synergy with Hex. So the way Hex works is you can teleport anywhere in this bubble, and then wherever you teleport to is going to take damage. So if I teleport onto this doll here, it's going to take damage. Or if I'm in an area where there's a lot of enemies, they're all going to take damage, which is cool. The thing with Hex, though, is that it benefits a lot from status conditions. All right? So the thing with Hex is that if the Pokemon is afflicted with a status condition, not only will Hex's damage practically double, it will also reset the cooldown on Hex. Because if I turn move cooldowns back on, what you'll see here is that Hex actually has a cooldown of like 6 seconds, which isn't that great, especially if you consider that the skill all on its lonesome only does about 1,000 damage. But now here's where it gets a little crazy. So if I go ahead and I hit it with Sludge Bomb first, it now has a poison status effect, right? Well, if I hit them with Hex, what you'll see is our cooldown went pretty much back down to 0, and we're able to use Hex again. So what people would do way back in the day is they would use Sludge Bomb, and then they just keep hexing over and over again and just inflicting massive amounts of damage to whatever target is in the way. This was basically the noob stomper of the beginning days of Pokemon Unite. It is still a strategy that can work very well. It's just that people have learned how to counter it. If you have a full heal, it will counter it. If you have a Blissey, it will counter it. If you are just teleporting out of the way, you can dodge the Sludge Bomb, because if the Sludge Bomb doesn't hit, then Hex really won't be able to follow up very well. So this used to be a lot better because it used to be stronger. They nerfed it a little bit and they made it so Gengar isn't quite so invincible while he does it, but also players have just learned how to play against it. Something else to note, in case I didn't mention it already, is that when you do Sludge Bomb here, Hex also does increase damage when a target is inflicted with a status condition. So if you take a peek again, what you'll see is I do about 1,073 damage, right? Well, if I go ahead and have them inflicted with damage here, or a status condition, what you'll see is I actually do about 2,347 damage. So Hex also gets a huge damage boost off of that. On top of that, if you really want to be going on all cylinders here, take a look. When I use Hex, I also get a boosted attack, which means I can go pop pop. So another thing that people would do is if they hit them with Hex and the target is running away, well, remember how those boosted attacks can teleport to the target? So this just made it so that Gengar was very, very, very good at just keeping on top of people and finishing them, and they have no way to run away. But I really don't think that's the way people play Gengar anymore. I think it's more of a Shadow Ball Dream Eater kind of vibe. So let's talk about those two skills. Real quick before we cover Shadow Ball and Dream Eater, I invite you to consider subscribing if you've been enjoying these videos or the content on this channel, and to leave a like on the video. Also, we stream just about every single night on twitch.tv/SwingPoynt. I'd love to see you guys over there. We do viewer games. We have a fun time talking with people. We meet new friends in this game. Go check it out. But with that, let's go ahead and do Dream Eater and Shadow Ball. And this is how I like to play Gengar. So Shadow Ball here is actually an awesome skill. So what it does is you just shoot out a ball. Pretty straightforward. One thing you'll notice right away is it has a really fast cooldown. It's only 4.5 seconds. So I love that out of Shadow Ball. Some things to know about Shadow Ball. It does several things after you throw it, or if you hit a target. So let's go up here and take a peek how these things work. So if you use Shadow Ball up against an enemy Pokemon, what you'll see is it hits them. Bonk. And it hits them for a lot of damage, actually. So if we take a peek here, if I hit this Cinderace, you'll actually see they get slowed down for a little bit, and there's that big old animation on top of the Cinderace. That animation is showing that a couple of things are happening. One, that they are slowed, but two, they're also affected by the other part of Shadow Ball, which is that their special defense is lowered. So this can be a really nice skill when you combo it up with Dream Eater. Other things to know about Shadow Ball, though, is that you know how I said it hits an enemy Pokemon? Kerplit! And then that's pretty much the end of that. Well, something important to know about Shadow Ball, very important to know about Shadow Ball, is that it pierces wild Pokemon, goes right through them. So especially when you consider how Gengar gets some spell vampirism now and heals when he does spell damage, that's actually a really nice way to go ahead and refill your health bar. So you see here, this is considered an enemy Pokemon because it's a substitute doll, so bum bum, Shadow Ball stops, but Ludicolo is considered a wild Pokemon, so it goes right through him. It's a very big distinction. And now on to Dream Eater here, and Dream Eater has great synergy with Shadow Ball for a few reasons. So let's take a look at what Dream Eater does. You can go ahead and you can spit a at someone. And if you spit the at them and it hits them with a status effect of being sleepy or going asleep. Here. See how it says he's sleeping? He's got the snoozies. Well, not only are they going to be just completely stopped for a little while. Here, try to hit me. He's sleeping. He doesn't want to do anything anymore. It's going to freeze them in place for a little bit, but you see those bubbles on their head? Those bubbles are indicating that you can still follow up with the other part of Dream Eater here. So if I hit him with this, and then I use Dream Eater again, I can teleport behind them and do a lot of damage and then also heal myself, which is awesome. Other things to note about Dream Eater here is pay very, very close attention. And when I use Dream Eater, I get a boosted attack. So now I can use my boosted attack. But if I also do the teleport, I also get a boosted attack. And then you can follow up. Boosted attacks are a really big deal on Gengar. He uses them often, and a lot of the skills go ahead and make more of them happen. So again, I use this, I can boost attack, but then I teleport, and I can boost attack again. Pretty cool. But the other neat part about Dream Eater is that it will reduce the cooldown of Shadow Ball. So if I use a Shadow Ball, and then I Dream Eat, and then I teleport, Shadow Ball's back. And then I can do that again. Pretty sweet. You could do a lot of damage, which you can see right here. We just did about 7,000 or 7,200 damage to the substitute doll, which is a lot of damage. So if you wanted to, you could Shadow Ball and then Dream Eat him and then boost attack and then Dream Eat him and then Shadow Ball and then bam. And you're doing so much damage on that combo. This is where I think Gengar's awesome. And honestly, I'm surprised Gengar didn't get more attention during the Venusaur Petal Dance days, because let me tell you, this Shadow Ball has got a lot of range, and then so does Dream Eater, right? And one of the things you really need to do when you're going up against Petal Dance Venusaur is stay away from them. And you also need to burst their health down, because Gengar can stay away and deal damage from a distance. Gengar can teleport in and do a huge burst damage, and then not only that, Gengar gets behind their target when they teleport there, right? So if I come right here, what you'll see is I make him sleepy, and then I go behind, right? Which also is helping deal with Venusaur, because Venusaur shoots in front of their body when they use Giga Drain. So Gengar, to me, was just a great counter to Venusaur, and I had a great time with Gengar when Venusaur was stomping all over everybody. Real quick, let's talk about the passive that Gengar has. And the passive that Gengar has is that just moves faster when he hasn't been in combat for a while. It is basically just a float stone built into Gengar's kit. Really nothing more else to talk about it here. It has about an 8-second cooldown, so if I hit something here, well, suddenly I move slower. You see that? Well, about 8 seconds after I did that hit, what you'll see is that Gengar will start speeding up, and you'll actually see it in the bottom right-hand corner. Yeah, you see how it kicked in, and now we can move faster again? It's just a float stone. Now let's go ahead and take a look at Ambush. So what Ambush does is the Unite move. So I can go, boop, boop. You dive into the ground, and then you can swim around. Your move speed goes way up when you do this, and you have a certain amount of time to cast the spell again and then come up out of the air. Something to note while you are using this Unite move here is that you are actually invisible, which is awesome. So if I go right here, boop, boop, and I pop back up, nobody can actually see me right now, but I can pop back up and be like, hello, poof, and deal a ton of damage. Not only that, we also got a boosted attack that came in with that. Boosted attacks all over Gengar. Something to note with the Unite move is that while you're invisible, you can cast spells. If you cast a spell, you're no longer invisible. But then you can still follow up and use this right here. So something you could do is you could pop up, and then pop up, and then pop up, and then pop up, and then pop, and then pop, and then pop. Just go crazy on them. So this is a very important part of the video here, the items, because Gengar is unique in how their items affect their skills. So let's talk a little bit more about Gengar's stats. So if we take a look over here on Unite DB, there's a few things that you'll see. Let's take a look at the stats here on the left-hand side of the screen. So if we take a look at Gengar at level 15, there's a few important things to notice here. And we're also going to take a look at all these other skills, because this is very, very important when you're picking items. Gengar has an HP value of 7,200 at level 15. Their defense is 260, and their special defense is 189, meaning that they have a lot of health, but they are not very tanky. Their regular attack is 364, but more importantly, their special attack is 669. Also, something important to note is their cooldown reduction is 25%. So if you take a look at their stats here, as they continue to level up, basically what this means is that they'll be able to cast their skills faster and faster and faster. But back to the special attack thing, because this is extremely important on Gengar. So Gengar has a pretty high special attack stat compared to all the other Pokemon. If you take a peek here and you look at special attack, what you'll see is Gengar is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Number 8 out of like the 26 Pokemon we have here. So very, very high in terms of what they're offering on their special attack stat. Reason why it matters so much is not just because the special attack is high, but because the modifiers on Gengar's skills are also very, very high. So what you'll see here on Gengar is a lot of these skills that they use have special attack modifiers of like 260% or 220% or at least over 100 all the time. Look at 263% on their Unite move, 260% on their Dream Eater, and then Shadow Ball here actually has a pretty good one sitting at around 115%, and it gets even higher when it's upgraded. Reason why this matters so much when you're picking items is that if you pick items that boost your special attack, you are going to get a ton of extra damage. So let's go ahead and take a look back at what we were doing before over here. So the items we would want to pick on Gengar are going to be things that really, really increase our special attack. So if we go take a peek, what we have here is we can pick ourselves up the score specs. Let me tell you, I really recommend the score specs due to those humongous special attack modifiers that Gengar has. The other thing I'd recommend is probably picking up the choice specs because Gengar is such a bursty character, on top of the fact that Gengar is going to already have a lot of special attack, because the way the choice specs work is it does extra damage based off of how much special attack you have. And since Gengar has a lot of special attack, choice specs are going to do a pretty decent amount of damage. And then personally, for my third item, I always like pick a Score Shield because Score Shield opens up a different style of play, but also it's going to help Gengar score because Gengar's a little squishy, but they benefit so much from increased special attack. So we want to make sure we're getting that extra special attack in there. We do viewer games almost every single night on twitch.tv/SwingPoynt. I'd love to see you guys over there. Also, please consider subscribing or liking the video if this was helpful to you at all. If there's any other things you would like me to cover in Pokemon Unite, please let me know in the comments down below. Or if there's anything I missed, please let me know in the comments down below. And then with that, thank you guys so much. You guys are the best, and I'll see you in the next video that we do around here.